Are you trying all the recovery strategies but still not feeling well? When we're suffering with chronic symptoms, we naturally look outside ourselves for the cure. But with neuroplastic symptoms like CFS, long COVID, and chronic pain, the cure is inside. In this video, I'll talk about how you can fulfill your healing potential. I'm Rebecca Tolin, a mind-body coach and the creator of the Be Your Own Medicine course. By the time people come to me, they've often tried countless doctors, healers, therapists, and brain training programs. They're understandably exasperated. What's the point of trying one more thing when nothing else has worked? And yet something deep inside believes they can feel well again. Sure, there's doubts, there always are, but there's hope too. Can you relate to any of this? I definitely can. I saw about 50 doctors and practitioners before finding this mind-body model. I finally recovered from 13 years of ME/CFS, insomnia, interstitial cystitis, headaches, and other symptoms. There were two key shifts that happened for me, and I'm going to share them with you in this video. Number one, I stopped looking outside myself for a cure, and I started looking inside myself for relief. Number two, I changed my attitude about recovery. Instead of doing the things I was told to do in a strict and forced way, I shifted into acceptance and curiosity. Okay, let's unpack these one at a time. First, I pivoted from the outside to the inside. This was gradual, but once I made a U-turn, I didn't go back. Even today, it's pretty rare that I go to a doctor except for my annual exam and things like that. But that wasn't the case for 13 years when I was lost in a medical maze. I traveled long distances to see 2 CFS specialists. I saw neurologists, rheumatologists, endocrinologists, naturopathic and integrative doctors. They did tests. They pointed to viruses and bacteria, heavy metals, mold exposure, candida overgrowth, and other things. They prescribed medications, herbs, diets, and other unproven therapies. Now, I put stock in each one, and I was let down every time it didn't work. It was an exasperating and expensive roller coaster. I started feeling like I was either totally crazy or wounded beyond hope. It's an awful place to be, and since you're watching this video, I'm guessing you can relate to some of this. Then there were all the alternative healers, from Tibetan medicine to energy healing. And although this world was gentler, it was the same paradigm. All do something to your body to make you feel better. I still felt disempowered. I needed to explore my own emotional experience, and I needed ways to regulate my nervous system. But I didn't realize that yet. Albert Einstein is often quoted as saying, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we use to create them." He said, we have to learn to think in a new way. Over a long, painful journey, I eventually learned to think in a radical new way. I realized that no one else was going to save me. Doctors didn't know how to treat what I had. And at first, that was really disillusioning. I kept denying this reality by trying one more doctor and one more supplement. But eventually, I let go of trying to find someone else to cure me. And that was actually a huge relief. It shifted everything about my attitude, outlook, and even the way I spent my days. I realized that my attention is my most powerful tool. How I choose to direct my attention affects how I feel in my body and mind. Who's the one person living in my body 24/7, receiving feedback from my nervous system? Of course, that's me. And who's the only person who knows how you feel inside? It's you. So I turned inward on this journey, and I focused on whatever brought little pockets of peace or emotional or mental relief. I was mostly homebound for these years, so they were very simple activities. Sometimes I could just go outside and lay on the grass and look up at the trees. Other times I could get to a nature preserve and take a really short walk or just sit by a creek and listen to the water and the bird song. And I noticed it soothed me. And it was also just a lot more enjoyable than kind of focusing on the symptoms and trying to find another fix. I also started reading poetry and then I started writing poetry, and I would just get lost in the sound of words and meaning. I did gentle yoga. Most of the time, it was pretty restorative, but I would do whatever my capacity was. And again, it always just felt a little better in my body, mind, and spirit. I started meditating through these years. I was practicing transcendental meditation for a lot of it, and I experimented with some different techniques. And then I would listen to a couple teachers. Eckhart Tolle was a main one. I would either listen to his book, A New Earth, or I would read like one page at a time because I had so much brain fog, I couldn't read or focus much, but I would just let a passage sink in and I would come more into the present moment. I started noticing the impact of my thoughts, feelings, and behaviors moment by moment. So when I was desperately looking out there for a remedy, I felt deflated and exhausted. I was in this fix me mentality. If you can relate to that, notice how that mindset feels in your body. Now, recovery stories, books on mind body healing, and videos like this can be supportive. They can open new possibilities and give you pointers. So, by all means, turn your attention to whatever feels uplifting and supportive. But ultimately, watching other people's stories isn't enough. Each of us has to, or I'll say gets to, make internal shifts to recover from mind body symptoms. It really is an inside job. Because here's the thing, neuroplastic symptoms are caused by our brain's perception of danger. So we need to show our brain that our body is safe. This turns down the danger signal in the subconscious brain, and eventually our neuroplastic symptoms subside too. So, lesson number one, turn your attention inside. All healing happens inside you, and you are more powerful than you know. This pivot from the outside to the inside led to my second shift. It changed my entire attitude about recovery. Instead of doing all the things I was told in this strict, intense way, I became curious about what actually made me feel better in the moment. When I took gazillions of supplements and I ate regimented diets, I felt more stressed. And how is that healing? I realized it wasn't. I felt frustrated and resentful with these protocols. Now I've learned that emotions are messengers. These emotions were telling me that I didn't want to do these things anymore. They weren't working, they were expensive, and they were devoid of pleasure and meaning for me. I felt resentful because I was being treated as a collection of labs rather than as a human being with a heart and a story. I learned that our story influences our symptoms. What we've experienced and the meaning we make about our circumstances will make us feel safer or less safe. And again, feeling safe is pivotal to heal from neuroplastic conditions. I noticed that when I felt safer, it was because I was shifting my focus from the past to the present, from futility to hope, from disempowerment to empowerment, and from self-criticism to self-compassion. This happened slowly and surely by observing how different beliefs and habits made me feel. I began to experience what I would call a surrender. And by that, I mean that I just started accepting myself and my body as I am in the present moment. This took time to get to this point. I was beating my head against the wall for a long time, but as I came into acceptance with the sensations that were present, I felt a lot of relief, at least mental and emotional relief. And that allowed me to sense what actually felt better inside me moment by moment. That's why I always say to clients and students, don't do whatever I say if it doesn't feel right for you. You do you. With mind body healing, we're not trying to make symptoms go away this very moment. If only we could. But it doesn't work that way. We're looking for little bits of mental and emotional relief right now. And I became content with that. In fact, before I found the mind body model that I now teach, I experienced this year of intense physical symptoms from a place of inner peace. I felt like I had the flu all the time, but my mind was in acceptance. It was really curious. I realized then that we don't actually need outer conditions to change in order to be free. And strange as it sounds, I felt free in my mind, even though I didn't feel well in my body. I invite you to consider these questions in your own recovery journey. How can you shift your journey from the outside to the inside? How can you release struggle and pressure and cultivate curiosity and ease? These qualities led to my eventual recovery. I accepted my body sensations as they were. I became curious about what felt better inside of me. And ironically, I stopped working so hard to get well. From this state, I discovered mind body healing and I recovered physically too. So you might pause and write about or reflect on those questions, and I'll also put them in the video description so you can see them there. William James wrote, "The greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives." This is 100% true for neuroplastic symptoms. It takes repetition to create new neural pathways and new habits, but you can. The capacity for healing is inside each one of us. It is up to you to create a healing environment that will shift your biochemistry. And I believe that each one of us is capable of more than we've been led to believe. One last quote. Patricia Neal said, "A strong positive attitude will create more miracles than any wonder drug." Our thoughts and feelings actually trigger chemical reactions throughout our body. Constructive thoughts and emotions increase good feeling neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Destructive thoughts and feelings can lead to elevated cortisol levels. Okay, to sum this up, turn inside, see what lights you up, and keep shifting your attention to thoughts and habits that bring inner peace. Repeat again and again. I found that not only is this a prescription for living a meaningful life, it also makes your subconscious brain feel safer, and then it doesn't have a reason to generate neuroplastic symptoms. If you want support with your recovery, I walk you through the steps in my Be Your Own Medicine course. The practices will help you explore your inner world in a safe way. You can also start with a free meditation on my website at RebeccaTolin.com. I hope you found something of value in this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel to find out when I release more videos. Thank you so much for being here and watching. And remember that you can be your own medicine. Take care, everyone.